Okay, so I've taken care of my nav bar over there so far, and now I'm simply going to start putting in my heading and my text. Now notice over here, very closely, that what I highlighted in the design view is now also highlighted in HTML view. And notice those tags on either side. H1 is header level 1, the biggest and the boldest. On the right is angle bracket end, that's backslash header 1 angle bracket. So whatever I put in between those two tags is going to have the formatting of header number 1. That's a very important thing to keep in mind. And whenever I type something in the design view, it, with a little lag, appears in the coding as well, in the split view. Okay, so I've got my level 1 head in. Now let's delete all of this placeholder copy. That means I'm going to go all the way down to the end of my container. How do I know that it's the end of my container? Look over here in your code view. Let's scroll down a little bit. See, it says end content. Then you've got a new div class, footer. So I know that everything in between that closing p tag all the way back up to the opening p tag where it says begin, that everything there I'm about to delete. And that is all the placeholder copy. It left me with a paragraph. I click over in design view and it updates itself. Okay, now I'm ready to put in my own text. We're going to begin with a table. Then we go up to insert, table. Now my table, based upon my storyboard, is 1 row and 2 columns. Since my container is 800 pixels wide, I'm going to go with 600, about 3/4 of the page. I'm going to give it a 1 pixel border. 3 pixels of padding, that's the space in between the letters and the edge of the cell, and I click OK. Now let's pause here for a moment and let's try to make sense out of these green lines. The top green line, as you see, runs in an unbroken manner from left to right. That means it's telling you the width of your table. Then the line underneath that is telling you what rows and columns that you have. So that's what those lines mean. Now let's continue ahead, keeping in mind that we have 1 row and 2 columns. So to insert a video in Dreamweaver, you have to go get the embed code. So I'm going to open up the document, and you can just click over there, and as you see it, you don't have to close Dreamweaver and go to your root folder. Clicking on it will open it up. It opens up a new window. I simply copy the code, close the old window, and now I go over here to the cell tags. Now let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the table HTML. Table width 600, border 1, cell spacing 0, cell padding 3, and then it says table row. The table row, as you know, I've got 1 row running across. The D's stand for cells within that row. So TD is table cell. In this case, it's my left-hand column. And so I'm going to put my video in my left cell or my left-hand column. Okay, so in between the opening cell tag TD and the closing cell tag \TD, let's put in the embed code for the video. And as soon as I click in design view, it will update, and there's the video. Now there's another way to do it, of course. You can insert your table. We'll go through that again. Insert table, 1 row, 1 column, 600 pixels, and you can do it the old way, which is going to your assets folder, opening up the embed code, copying the embed code, and then going back to Dreamweaver and going to the cell where you want the embed code. Let's go to that cell again, non-breaking space, and let's embed the code that way. So either way you want to do it is fine. And click on the design view to refresh. So either way is fine. Now we've got to put our text in our right column. So we select that right column. I'm going to double click. I'm going to do it the simple way. I'm going to copy the text that I know goes in there. I'm going to close this window. I'm back, and I make sure I am selected in that column, and I paste in the text in between my TD cells. Okay, now it looks like we've got a good bit of formatting to do on this text. That's not going to fit, so I'm going to click on Page Properties, and I'm going to have to bring down the pixels on that text. Let's try 12 and see what happens there. I'll move it over so you can see what happens when I apply. Very good, okay. That'll work. Once I get all my spacing in there and my header in there, that'll work just fine. Okay, let's get some spaces in between these things. I've got 3 bullets, a little bit too much space. We'll take out, as you can see over here, we can take out a break. We put in both a paragraph break and a BR break. We only needed one or the other. Okay, now let's see what it looks like in live view. See how much more formatting we have to do. Okay, the text looks good. Let's select the table. And let's change the background on this table so that it matches the gray background that we've already chosen for our links. Okay, now we're going to have a gray background table, so that keeps those two elements together. Let's highlight key concepts. Let's bold it. And if we want to, we can also make it a header. I wonder what a header 3 would look like there. So let's go down and click on Paragraph and go to header number 3. And that looks pretty good. It stands out pretty well. And we've got good spaces in between our bullet points. We're going to take a look at it in live view. Okay, excellent. Add in some bullets in there, and we should be in good shape. Let's see what this looks like with a heading 2. I think, yeah, that looks even better. If it's key, it's got to be big, right? Now, I've created some bullets, and I'm going to drag these bullets up there. I'm going to give them a name. Call it ingeniously red bullet, and click OK. And that bullet looks mighty big. No problem whatsoever. To edit it, you select it, and you go down to Edit. And that will open up whatever default editor you have. Here it is Microsoft Picture Manager. And double click on the object, and it gives you all of its specifications. And you click on Edit Pictures, and let's resize it. Let's see, it's 18 pixels. Let's try 10 or 11. And that ought to make it fit in with my 10-point type pretty well. Let's go ahead and save it. And we're going to be saving it with a new name this time, Small Bullet or something like that. Little Bullet. Let's do Little Bullet. Little red bullet, and we save it and we close Picture. And now we're going to refresh our Objects folder, our Files folder. And Little Red Bullet should show up. There it is. Let's click and drag it up there now. And that size should be a little bit better now. Let's call it Red Bullet again for our non-sighted viewers. Yeah, that looks good. That looks a lot better. We're going to have to do some work on the alignment, but I think the size is going to work well. Let's click on it, and then we're going to change the alignment to bottom. I know you can't see the command, but I'm going to pull it to the bottom of that sentence there. Then all I have to do is add a vertical space. And I'm pretty sure that if I put 2 in there, that's going to line it up really well. So let's select a little red bullet. Now let's hit return a couple of times, and we're going to start putting our text in underneath the table that we have created. So I simply double click on text for the thesis object. I go grab my first paragraph of text. I close the window. And I paste in. Notice that when I paste in, I'm going to highlight it over here so you can see it. I've got a 1 paragraph space. I paste it in between the 2 P tags, and there it is. So I've got a paragraph break in between the table and the text. And I can tell that I'm going to have to increase the size of the text Let's put it over to 100%. Yeah, right now the text in my body is the same as the text in my table. And the text in your body you usually want 2 points higher than the text in any table. So let's select the text in the table. And you can do that by clicking on the P, or you can highlight the whole thing, however you want to select it. That's how you select it. And once it's selected, we're simply going to click on Page Properties, and I'm going to set the text at 12. And that's going to be the size of all of my body text. Move it over so you can see what happens when I apply. There you go. Now that looks like good body text, and standard text size is 12 to 13 for web pages, a little bit smaller for tables.